What if you could help others to find the power to heal themselves? Physically, emotionally, and spiritually.
When I started teaching my classes, it was in 2002, and I was just doing the past life regressions and contacting the subconscious part. But then as the time went on and we found how powerful this was and what we could do with it, a lot of the students began saying, you know, advanced past life regression doesn't really tell what it's all about. This is so much more than that. We think you should change the name. So it was a few years ago we decided to change the name to Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique. And this is the healing technique that we've now been teaching it, well, since 2002, that's 12 years.
What if you could time travel with them? Visit mythical places or angelic realms, other worlds, other galaxies. Help others to speak to their higher selves. You can. Dolores has taught thousands of people from across the world how to use QHHT, and now you can learn her method by going directly to dolorescannon.com. And don't forget to mention the discount code MORETALKS. Broadcasting from the UK and across the world online. You're now watching The Moore Show and I'm your host Kevin Moore. Now for the next hour I'll be covering subjects that will open up your mind and provide you with information you may have never heard before. Now on today's show I'm about to be joined with my guest Charmian Redwood. Now in 1980, Charmian had a near-death experience in which she returned to the source and remembered who she was, a divine being of light. Since that time she's been assisting others through her workshops and individual sessions to reconnect to their own divine self and activate their DNA codes for Ascension. Now in 2006, Charmian brought forward many members of ancient Lemuria, where we all once lived in oneness and used our intentions and connections to the source to create everything we needed in our lives. Charmian Redwood, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's my little dolphin friend who says, hello.
Hello dolphin. Yeah, I just noticed that actually, that was there. I was like, is that a dolphin there? It is, isn't it? Yeah.
My resident dolphin.
Well, yeah, there's nothing wrong with keeping it a bit kid-like sometimes, because we do take it all a bit too serious, let's face it, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
We can. I think this show, sometimes I can be quite a serious person, and it's just nice. That's nice that you bring a bit of lightheartedness into this subject, because spirituality actually should be quite lighthearted, shouldn't it?
It has to be fun, that's the whole point. We get too serious.
We do, don't we? We do. And I'm just thinking now, doing this interview, I was like, oh God, this interview is going to be quite kind of serious, but it's okay because we can keep it. I think that's a good way to start this, is to keep it light-hearted, because some people watching this may be going through a bit of a rough time right now, and they're looking for ways to get out of that and improve their life, or just to see life from a different perspective. So let's start it off with fun. But there also is, you've got an amazing story, by the way. I just want to say that. And I really want to get into your near-death experience. But just before we do, I believe before you had your near-death experience, you were a school teacher?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And this was back in England, because right now you're in Florida.
I am.
Yes. God, what was life like prior to the near-death experience? Who were you?
Well, I was a really normal person. I was very happy teaching. I taught 4, 5, 6-year-olds, had a lot of fun. But there was always something missing. Like there was this emptiness inside that I didn't know what it was. I just knew something was missing. And I was not a spiritual person at all. I don't know if I'd even heard of meditation and healing. I was just a really normal person. So it did completely transform my life, literally overnight.
I bet it did. I bet it did. And there was no sort of, I mean, were the parents, were they Christian, religious, or spiritual, or
So
nothing?
I was brought up in the Methodist church.
Oh,
And the thing, I'm really glad about that. One is I love to sing, and their hymns are just divine. But also, the Methodist church really emphasizes works of charity. It's not so much the philosophy or reading the Bible. It's not really Bible based. It's get out there and help people. So that was the message that came to me as a child, that these were really kind, concerned people who were looking in their communities for people who needed help. And they went out and did it, and they did it quietly. They didn't make a big song and dance about it. It wasn't on local television. They just quietly did things. So that really went into me, and I remember that.
well, that's
And
kind
they
of,
didn't.
that's kind of interesting you say that, because that's almost kind of laying a basis for when you did have the near-death experience, and the way it did touch you. It's kind of touched you, well, it did touch you in one way of wanting to go out there and help people. So it's kind of like the childhood you had, there were key things in there, key elements in there of where, of as though your life was destined in a way to go down the road you've gone of being of service.
I think so, because now I have a lot of people coming to my groups and my sessions who have had a religious upbringing that, quite frankly, is absolutely horrifying. And they're terrified. These poor people are terrified because of the church that they went to. And that is such an anathema of the teachings of Jesus.
Well, again, you're hitting a few nails on the head, because, you know, being in America, which is where I'm going to be at some point, it's very, very religious, you know, more religious than the UK, much more, right? So
Yeah.
you must see that fear-based aspect when people are coming out of it, you know, you must see it more over there, surely.
Oh, absolutely. Especially when I left Maui, which is where my little dolphin friend is from. I had no idea where to go. And my guide said to me, "You've received all the codes of light from Hawaii, which is already vibrating in the fifth dimension. Now you need to take them where they are needed." And I thought, "Oh, where would that be?" And they said the Midwest, which is Bible Belt. And I was absolutely shocked when I moved to Cincinnati, Ohio. Just driving down the road, there's these billboards that said, "If you die tomorrow, where will you go?" And the next one says, "Hell is real,"
Oh,
and
gosh.
obey four commandments. And I'll tell you something that did annoy me. I was working with hospice, because I do a lot of work with people who are ready to transition. And my job is to say, "I've already been there. It's no big deal. Don't worry about it." And this poor man was terminally ill with lung problems, and he was terrified to die. And I said, "What? Why is that?" And he said that he'd been told in the church that he was going to hell. And he kept having visions of this black entity with red eyes. And he thought it was the devil waiting for it. So this poor man, who was going to die anyway, there was no question, was terrified of leaving the body because of the church. So that makes me angry. So
Yeah. Oh God, it's so difficult, isn't it? But then maybe you have to say that, you know, we come down here for the challenge, don't we? So, you know, maybe that was part of his karmic challenge, to have to go through that process of realizing it's not true. You know, there's many, oh God, we got so much to talk about, me and you. Wow, 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 wow. You know, there's many people who have near-death experiences as well, who have very negative near-death experiences. You know, "Oh, I went to hell and it's real." And I'm like, dude, that's because that's where your vibration was. There's no such thing as hell, right? But if you're, when you pass on, this is only my truth, you tell me what you think, you create your reality in a sense. So if that's what you believe in, well, that's where you're going to go, because that's the level at which you create at. Is that any truth in that?
that is, it's kind of the frequency that you are at when you transition. And that's why I do so much work with hospice, because If people leave in peace without the fear, they will go to the higher dimensions. If they go in fear or with a lot of anger, some people are mad when they're dying. They're mad at God, they're mad at their families, they haven't come to peace with it. Then they have to work through that anger on the other side. People think that that's the end when you die. It absolutely isn't. So I
No.
really to go with grace.
Absolutely, and we're gonna get more into detail about this, because we're gonna get into your story and everything else, because you've got such a beautiful story, and I'm actually going to see you in person as well. I know I will be. So we're going to do an in-person interview now, and we both are connected with Dolores Cannon, because I'm connected with Ozark Mountain. Dolores initially funded my show many moons ago. And I know Julia Cannon very well as well, and she's actually coming into my documentary. I'm doing a channeling documentary, so yeah, so we're well connected in ways that we don't understand yet. So let's just move your story forward to the near-death experience. So, okay, you're in hospital, you're in England. It's around 1980, and you've had you've given birth to twins, I believe. Yeah, and you've had some obviously well, there was all sorts of complications. It was a complicated birth, wasn't it, in a sense? Yeah.
Okay. That was okay. So at the birth, they pulled Jenny out with forceps very quickly, and my body was not ready. So I had all these tears. I had 3 tears, and the guy who was an intern, not a twin birth, and he didn't see one of the tears. He didn't stitch it. So I had all this internal bleeding, which then became infected. So after 10 days, I was rushed back to the hospital. And the funny thing was that by that time, I was so ill, I really didn't care if I lived or died. There was no, oh my God, I'm dying, I don't want to die. It was just like, leave me alone, don't ask me stupid questions. What religion am I, and how do I want to be buried? Just go away, leave me alone. So the first night that I was in the hospital, I had this really clear experience of just floating up out of my body. And all of my consciousness was up in that being that was looking down at the body. So then I totally knew the body is just the house that I'm living with. And if I'm not in it, there's nothing's happening. So I floated away, and there was no fear at all. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew there were angels there, and it was okay. So I'm floating away from the body, and there's this really beautiful golden light. And when I floated into that light, it was totally coming home. Everything that anybody could possibly need was in that light. It was love, it was enfolding, it was everything. So I'm just floating about in this golden light thinking, wow, this is nice. And then Jesus comes and stands in front of me, and I was not a religious person, and I'm going, oh no, I'm not one of yours. I think you got the wrong person. I haven't signed up, And he just kind of looked at me like, what are you going on about? So his eyes were just the deepest. I just looked into his eyes, and I felt complete, unconditional love, acceptance, and forgiveness. Because of who I am. Everything that I'd done, it didn't matter. It was just, he was seeing me as I am. So we had this whole telepathic conversation in my head. And he said, because your heart is pure, if you want to, you can stay with us in the golden light. But we are asking you to go back, because the world needs your love, your wisdom, and your healing. Well, I can tell you at the time, I didn't have much of, I didn't even believe and I was not spiritual. So I said, how can I get back down knowing that this is where I belong with you? Now his heart was this blazing blue star. He broke off a piece of mystic star and he put it into my heart. And he said, now you will know that I am always with you. So the next minute I'm floating over that body back in the hospital, in the bed. And I knew if I get back into that, which is not me, I will take on suffering again. If I stay out, which is me, I will never suffer again. So it was way harder coming back than it was leaving. Leaving was just very, very easy. But I'd just given birth to twins. They were 10 days old. I invited them. There was no way I was going to abandon them to not have another. So I just really came back for them. And then when I came back in, I was not the person that I was, because I knew there is a plan for this earth. I didn't know what it was at the time, I do now. And I just said, whatever you need me to do, wherever you need me to be, to serve the plan, I will go. So that's what started me being a gypsy. I've been all over the world.
The More Show connects personal development, metaphysics and consciousness tools for transformation, empowerment and awakening. Please support this independent show so Kevin can continue to bring you the most inspiring and alternative interviews and videos. Go to www.themoreshow.com/donate. You can also support The More Show through Patreon by going to www.patreon.com/themoreshow. Or you can make a quick and easy donation from PayPal using paypal@themoreshow.com.
My name is Courtney Amundsen, and I offer private channeled readings to help you to connect with your soul and your divine purpose. You see, it's so beautiful because what I'm offering is to help you to step into your empowerment and your inner teacher, your inner divinity. And this is such a beautiful experience because it's coming home to your true self. It's unveiling what already is you. And in this place, you can live in guidance, you can live in freedom, you can live in your authenticity. So if this calls to you, you can book a reading with me at morechoice.com/Courtney. So thank you so much, and I hope that you join me soon.
Right, okay. And thank you so much for what you've just shared there. When you went to this place that was out of time and space and any kind of reality that we can understand right now, it's almost like I could say to you that you went into the unknown, right? Because we've got no conceptualization of it. Did you feel like you'd come from there before? You'd come from there to come into this life?
I was coming home. I knew this is where I started from. This is where I was born or created. And this is where I'll be going back to whenever I finish my mission here on the earth. So now I have no fear of death because I know where I'm going. And it's way more fun than it.
Did it feel as real as this reality, or was it realer?
More real. I knew that's the real world. And I could really understand why so many Eastern philosophers say that this world is the illusion. I absolutely got that this is not real. That is real.
Yes. You know, there's some guests that I've had on, very few, that have said, if you want to know where heaven is, it's right here, right now.
Well, that's the game that we're here on the earth to do, is to bring heaven here. So that is the purpose, is to make this real by bringing the qualities of the oneness, which is love, peace, harmony, compassion. Bring that here and live it. And that's the challenge, even with all the madness, all the craziness, the violence, or all these bad things that are happening, is can we be a living model of unconditional love? So they're right in this, but in a way that inspiration comes from connection to the other planes.
Absolutely. And did you get to communicate with any other beings when you were there? Were you aware of any other presence there?
Feel other presences, but I don't think I was there very long. I couldn't tell you in our time, but I could feel Mother Mary just behind Jesus, and I could feel this whole host of angels. whole congregation of
Mother Mary was there, right? Okay. Now we're going to get into Mother Mary in just a bit, actually. Well, when it comes to God, then, what did that? Were you aware of some higher presence being there, even greater than what the figure was that you called Jesus that was in front of you?
Oh yes, and that is, I understood then when people say the higher you go, the harder it is to put into words, because words take you away from it. So it was just that feeling of being absorbed into this consciousness, which is everything. So God is not one being. It's a consciousness that is just pure love, constantly creating from itself expression. And this planet and us and the animals, we are all expressions. I tell you what, when I was in that golden light, the ocean of golden light, I knew that this is where all of life is born from, that we're all created from the same substance. So whether we choose to show up as a tree or a pebble or a person, we're all the same substance.
Would it surprise you that maybe the soul splits off to have multiple incarnations simultaneously all over the universe?
Oh yes, I know I have more than one extension, soul
Good.
extension.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's and what did it look? I mean, was it beyond 4K, the kind of quality where you was at? Do you know what I mean? What did it look like where you went to? I mean, is it undescribable, the colours, or was it?
It was just gold. I went in. I went to the source. I don't know why. Most people meet their relatives. So I didn't really have anything to say to my relative. I just went straight to the source, and it was just this ocean of liquid golden light that gives birth to everything.
Do you know? I get told that that when we cross over to the level we go to, whatever level we're going to, there is infinite levels to go to. Infinite.
Mm-hmm.
And I get told that, other levels are channeling to other levels above them to bring in teaching information for that level. So that what I'm saying is where we go to, there's no ultimate truth of what existence is. They're still trying to, they're growing to learn their truth. I mean, it makes no sense to me the words I'm using, right? But this is,
Every being is evolving to the next level, and there are many dimensions, and we're always moving up through them.
okay.
So the state that you die in really determines which level. This is why the Buddhists try to leave through the crown chakra, and then they go straight into oneness.
Yes, absolutely. Oh God, right. Well, coming back to your to when you woke back up at the hospital, just go back to that period just quickly. Did you tell anyone what you had been through?
No, I didn't, because I didn't understand it. This was 1980, and I'd never heard of a near-death experience. I think Raymond Moody was just starting to write it.
Just.
But I did not understand what had happened to me. I just knew that everything I had done up to now was a complete waste of time. My career, the degree, what I thought was my career path. And when I came back, I said, I want other people to have the experience that I had without having to die, because that was kind of a dramatic way of having an experience. So I was given this method of healing using hypnosis to take people into
wow.
That's what I do now. I gave up teaching, and now all I do is take people to do that.
Okay, just before we get there, yeah, absolutely. We're going to touch on your hypnosis work. That's so important, right? Just before we get there, did your husband recognize that you had changed over time? That he
He kept saying, "You've changed," and I said, "Well, people are supposed to change." Yeah, it really was the end of the marriage, because he was not he was very blocked and not at all spiritual, and he really resented losing control of me, because I had now this connection to
Oh, do you think there's a bit of control there as well? Right.
Yeah, and so he couldn't understand what had happened. So
Just sticking with the relationship, then we're gonna get back into the story. Don't worry, because I just think this is important for a lot of people that go through an awakening experience. Then, and not getting too personal, right? But I mean, did you ever remarry again?
yes.
Right.
And none of them. I actually, to be honest, I have never had a relationship with anyone who is on my level of consciousness or compatible with it. What I have had is a lot of karmic completions, which is what many people are doing now, especially old souls like me who have been here forever. Anything that we have not completed with anybody, this is the last lifetime that we can do it, because we're not going to be in the third or the fourth dimensions where time exists. So if we have any unfinished business, we've got to do it now. So that's why so many of us have had broken marriages, and we've had our children with the strangest people. So there's no blame, it's just part of the process.
Right, so you feel that the people that have come into your life have come in karmically. What would you have felt that if someone came into your life that was on the same level? What would that have done for? Would that? Can you even go there because it never happened, or?
No, I mean, I've not met the person yet, but I know that I've finished my karmic, I call them my unpleasant learning experiences, and that I am now ready to meet someone who can meet me where I am, and then we will create together, because we are meant to be in union with our twin flames at this time, so we can go through the ascension together. But we've got to check all the boxes, make sure we've tied up all the loose ends with everyone else before we can do that.
Oh,
So
you do.
I'm 65 and I'm still living in hopes.
Age has got nothing to do with it. Absolutely. Um,
People 40 who think their life's over because
Oh,
they've
well,
got it.
well, you're looking at one, right? That was, I thought when my life got to 30, I thought, oh, nothing's, that's it now. Do you know what I mean? But what a load of crap that was, and I know that now. I know that now. I'm so over that. That's yesterday's news. But okay. So you think that it's a time for twin flames to come together in this time?
I've been part of my work is to help twin flames come together to release any programs that we've got that are blocking it, and then help me to find it. And over the last 10 years, I have just seen so many twin flames.
Wow.
And if we get closer to the time of the dimensional shift, it's getting even more.
It's funny you say that. I've had a lot of karmic relationships. I know I have, and you know what? I've just not been bothered to rush in to the next one unless it's on the right level. I cannot be asked, right? In a nice way, right? But yeah, that's interesting. Okay. Now you mentioned I mean, I've always said to myself, I think I might, I've probably got an option if I want to come back or not. But you would say that we're not coming back in.
What we might get for a lot of people is that this is our last lifetime, because we're going to ascend into our light bodies, which are ageless and immortal. So we won't be doing the dying in the same way. We won't be dying because our bodies are diseased and worn out. I've seen my death, and it's extremely beautiful. And I'm with my twin flame. We're living in this community where everyone wears white. And the words that came in when I had this experience was, all here made the shift. And this was 20 years ago, I had this. So me and my twin flame, we're laying down together, we're holding hands. Everybody's celebrating our life. They're all singing, playing crystal balls. And we just leave our bodies, and the bodies combust themselves, and we go directly back to the golden light, because our mission is complete. And I remember hearing that we can go now because the planet, just makes me cry, the planet is safe for children, and we don't need to be here anymore. So we're very happy to go home, and there's no feeling of sorrow or sadness, just lots of people celebrating.
Yeah, I mean that's very beautiful. That's very beautiful, and I mean, you know, if I was to turn the TV on right now and just, you know, North Korea may pop up and a few other things may pop up, and you know, the world is going through, there's a massive shift taking place right now. Are you kind of saying there that maybe certain people won't be incarnating back here? Certain people who bring a lot of destruction to the world will not be coming back?
The reason that there is so much conflict is that all of these conflicts are rooted in the past. They're rooted in things that happened hundreds or even thousands of years ago, that all Muslims are like this, all black people are like this, all people of different race, creed, colour, they're all this certain way. And it's just based on conditioning. Every one of us is being given the opportunity to look at people and say, this is my brother. We are the same. We are one. So these old enmities are being brought up to the surface to give people the opportunity to say, this is not real. This is just another human being. This is another mother with a child. So the change is going to come through individuals. And this is why in America we've got the president that we've got.
Of course.
Because he's face on the secret and unacceptable face of America. That is prejudice, that feeds hatred and separation. So it's like all this poison is bubbling up. It's being seen. It's being given the people the opportunity to come out on the streets, which they've done in their millions since this president. There's been more people saying, we love women, and we love blacks, and we love Muslims. The church I went to in LA the other week had a big sign saying, Muslims are our friends. Well, without what's happening now, that sign would not have been there. So I know where this planet is going, but not everybody is going with it. We all have to make that choice. So do we want to move with the new earth, which is into love, or do we want to stay in the third dimension, which is not going to be on this planet, because the planet is shifting. So there will not be the opportunity to reincarnate here.
Well, then, do you not think that, from what you've told me, which with your beautiful story, and people like me and other people that are here to help awaken people, that maybe we chose to come here to awaken people, that they don't need to keep repeating this cycle of coming down here and having this experience? But then at the same time, if we did that, are we taking away people's free will? Because the soul must be addicted to wanting to come down here and have this experience, surely.
The soul is the director of everybody's script. The soul is here to evolve. Now, in our long lifetimes of pain, suffering, persecution, we've evolved by overcoming conflict. The next stage of our evolution as a soul is to lift this physical form into an ascended light body. So then we're in a different paradigm. So then we're not evolving through suffering. That was the age of Pisces. Now we're going into the age of Aquarius, where we're all becoming enlightened and self-realized.
Well, that's really interesting, because, okay, so we come down here with a form of amnesia where we can't remember where we came from or where we're going to. It's a re-remembering process all the way through. We're here, as you may say, to keep the light within, to keep our flame alive and to show that to the world. Why come down here then?
That was our agreement. It's in my book, Coming Home to Lemuria, that Gaia asked the children of the light to come and walk light upon her body. So she is making the ascension into the fifth dimension. And we are here. We are like acupuncture needles, because we are fifth dimensional beings and higher. So just by walking in a physical body, but being connected to our own divine essence, we are anchoring that light into Gaia. So we are feeding her light body. And when she makes that shift, we will all make that shift with her. So this lifetime where we are going to do the ascension is the culmination of the whole cycle of the whole time that we have been on the earth, from Lemuria in the beginning, when we were in our light bodies, when we went through that thousands of years of heavy dark density. Now we're lifting back up into the light. So that's why we came, to lift the whole earth into the light.
You know, I think to myself, I mean, I can't think about this too much because I I don't know, right? I mean, I could channel the answer, but, you know, I'm just, you know, the idea that, you know, we came from the soul, which was just all knowing. Well, I think it feels like it was all knowing, all loving, all everything. And it came here to kind of forget itself, to remember itself again of what love is by going through this experience. So then when we go back home to the level that you've been at, or maybe a bit of a lower level for some, but not there's no judging there, right?
No,
Whatever
we're
level.
all not the source.
Right.
We're all the.
Yep. Okay. So we all go to the same. Well, why can't we have the option when we go back to go into a different reality? I mean, okay, I'll answer that. I'll let you answer that. I think the reason for that is because we have a choice. We do have a choice. We can carry on, or we don't have. But we must choose to want to come back here.
Oh, we do, because the reason that we chose this third dimensional challenge, we've really had an obstacle course, or all of these lifetimes where we've been burned, beheaded, put to death in horrible ways. It was so that our soul would grow exponentially. You grow much faster by being challenged by adversity than just floating in the garden and everything's lovely. So I asked many years ago when I moved to Hawaii, and I was just grieving. I just couldn't stop crying, and I said, "What's going on?" And they said I was grieving the fall when we originally separated from our source. And I said, "Why would we do that?" And it said, so that we would grow exponentially. What is the hardest challenge that we could give ourselves to help our souls to grow? I know. We'll go to sleep, we'll forget who we are, we'll disconnect from the divine one who knows he is everything, and we'll just pretend that we're little bodies walking around with no powers. How about that? So that's what we've been doing. We had all these superpowers, and then we had none.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing what you've just said there. And well, actually, before we go any further, we've got a lot to talk about. We just want to cover your books, and we're going to, you know, try to keep this in 51 minutes. We can keep this incredible work in 51 minutes, right? I just want to say that you do offer readings as well, don't you? You do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Now you do channeled readings. Now you mentioned Mary, the Mother Mary, before. So just tell us in a channeled readings. Oh, and also, just as you tell us about what you do as well. Why do you think you've got that connection? Because she was there in your near-death experience as well.
Well, I was with them. I didn't know this until, when was it? I can't remember now. But I just remembered being with her. And then through hypnosis, I also do past life regression. So actually, my next book that I'm about to publish is all about the mission that Jesus and Mother Mary came to Earth. And it's taken from regression of about 20 different people who were all there, and I was one of them. So it's like we've always been one, but this time I'm in the body and she is not. So she is using me as a vehicle to do her work upon the earth.
Beautiful, beautiful. So okay, now just to let everyone know that if you can get if you want to help support the More Show as well, you can get a reading with just let me get your last name right, your first name right here, Charmian.
It's Charmian.
Charmian, yes. Apologies for that. Yeah, Charmian. So if you do want to get a reading with Charmian, just go to tmspsychics.com/Charmian, and you'll be able to reach Charmian through there as well. And I think what's nice about your readings as well is that you also do connect with the person's higher self as well.
What I do in my readings, sometimes they're channeled from Mother Mary or all of the masters. I work with everybody. Sometimes it's from my higher self. And these beings, they see the person that you really are. Not all the mistakes you've made, not all the garbage that you've floated out of. They see you and they say, thank you so much for being what you are and bringing it here. So they connect you to your lineage, wherever that is, wherever you came from. They will connect you and tell you who you are as a soul and what is your purpose here. So a lot of people cry because they're not used to being given unconditional love, acknowledgement, and approval. We're used to being criticized for what we get wrong, not celebrated for what we get right.
Well, thank you very much for that. Yes. Okay. And just with the crystal balls that you have as well, is that an in-person thing? The crystal balls that when you
Crystal balls. Yes, I do sessions where I'm living.
right? Yeah.
Travel on the internet.
Okay, so that's more of an in-person thing as well. Yeah. Okay. But there's and you find there's a lot of energy in those crystal balls, isn't there? They yeah.
Just pure vibration. It's pure love without any concept or mental stuff going on.
Hi guys, my name's Kevin Moore and I'm the host of The Moore Show. Now it's my purpose, my passion, my mission to help you guys become your greatest version. Now you might be looking to find answers on love, connecting with your life's purpose, reuniting with a loved one on the other side, discovering your past lives, or just helping you make sense in finding your direction. Now, as a multi-dimensional channel, I can connect with higher aspects of yourself to help you in this present moment to become your best version and live your most empowered life. Now, you can book myself for a reading by going to tmspsychics.com/Kevin, or you can get a reading from one of my many gifted team of readers. The Moore Show Psychics, helping you transform your present moment to the most loving and happiest it can be. Now, I also offer a full money back guarantee, so what have you got to lose? Empower your life today. Okay, well, thank you very much for that. Let's get back into your story now. It's all part of it. It's all part of, and how much can you really fit into 51 minutes? I mean, we're going to miss some important things here as well. So, how did you get to America? What was that all about? Why America?
Moving away from my second disastrous marriage with somebody that I really, really was very deeply connected, and we'd had wonderful past lives together, and we'd had very bad past lives, and we needed to complete in this lifetime. It was heartbreaking because it was not possible for us to live together. But there was this deep soul connection. So I just was really running away. And I'd been told by my guides, I was working in Avalon and Glastonbury with the Grail energies. And the guides, Arthur and Guinevere Merlin, they came and said, would you take the Grail to America? And I was so broken-hearted about this divorce that it was actually pretty easy for me to just up sticks and move to America. Otherwise, I doubt if I would have done it. Because at that time, it meant leaving my children, who were only 15. They were living with their father. Not with me. So that's everything that happens in your life is necessary for you to be who you are. And some of it looks pretty like, did I really choose that? Why would I do that? What we did is to get where we needed to be.
Well, you're a very brave person. I'll say that to you. You're a very brave person. Maybe you don't feel like that. Maybe probably for yourself, you just think when I say, oh, I'm just living in purpose. I'm just doing what feels right. Yeah. I guess I'm saying it from a standpoint of, wow, that takes some.
Well, it's scary on the human level. I jump off cliffs all the time. When I get a message like, we need you here, I say, okay, I'll go. And then I get there and I go, oh my God, what have I done? Because I have to start all over again, you know, find my tribe, find my places to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, no, it doesn't get any easier.
No. But it's very fulfilling what you're doing right now, isn't it? Deeply fulfilling.
Totally. I mean, the connections, people tend to come to me when they're in some kind of life crisis, and I just kind of hold them through it and connect them to their inner knowing, the divine part of themselves that knows why this is happening and what is the solution, how to do it. So I connect with people on such a deep level, and we become just lifelong friends.
So you had you were able, well, you class yourself. Let me just get the right word here. Oh, I can't think of the right word, but there was something I heard someone say. Oh yes, an interdimensional travel agent, in the sense, in the sense of you perfected this, you know, to be able to take people into connecting with their higher selves and their soul by them going through hypnosis, in a sense. Is it hypnosis? Yeah, hypnosis. And it's crazy because there's you doing this, and that was exactly on the other side of the world, kind of like what Dolores Cannon was doing as well.
That's right. The thing is, I didn't know at the time. I know now that this is just what I've always done, because I've taught in all the mystery schools. I've been here since the beginning of Lemuria, and I've trained the priests and the priestesses. So what is happening in this life is the students who I've had in other lives, in Egypt, Atlantis, Peru, are just coming very quickly through my classes or through my sessions and being reactivated, reinitiated. So we don't have to spend 10 years training in the temple anymore, because we've done all that. So they just work with me for a little while, and it just flicks the switch and reconnects them.
Absolutely. And okay, and that's something you still offer in person, but one of your books as well, and was it Coming Home to Lemuria, or I can't remember what the title was called. No, it's coming up on the screen. Was based on the transcripts of your time in Hawaii.
New Earth Rising. Yes, and I don't just do them in person. I do my sessions online on video, so that I do them all over the world. Mostly, I work online.
Okay, so you're able to take someone into a previous life online.
Yeah, I do both. I do the individual sessions where first we connect to the soul, and you experience yourself as unlimited, eternal, powerful being. And then that soul part has a little conversation with your personality and gives you advice about your life. And then we look at how the soul wants to show up in your life. Anything that's blocking, we look at it and we remove it. And then we move forward into, now that I brought my soul in, what do you want to do? So we move ahead in time and look what you're going to be doing and how do I get there. And then I also teach classes online of how to connect to other dimensional aspects of yourself, receive messages and channelings from that part of you.
Okay, so when you're in a session with you for that type of a session, if I was in it having that with you, would I be put under hypnosis, or would I? Yeah. Now I suppose some people will say, yeah, but what if the connection wasn't that good and you know I lost the connection or something? You're still in charge, aren't you? You're even though you may, if something went wrong with the connection, you are still able to then to open your eyes up and to be fully in charge and, you know, get that connection back. Yeah.
With hypnosis, I only work with people in a light trance where they are deep control. I won't work as a deep trance channel where people don't know what I'm saying and I don't know what I'm saying, because I think that's a violation of free will, and I would never ever do that. And so the person knows what they're saying, they know what I'm saying, they know what I'm doing with them. So it's an interactive thing. I start it off, I take us to the connection, and then they speak to me from their soul level. So then I am able to ask their soul anything, any area of their life, relationships, work, what life purpose. I ask their soul to answer those questions.
Right. Okay. Okay. And just going. Okay. So you ended up in. We're all over the place here, but you ended up in Hawaii, right? And that's where you were meeting people that you were pulling under hypnosis in person, that were then bringing out the story of Lemuria and your connection with them, right? Yeah, I mean, how incredible is that? And different people were saying or picking up from where the last person was leaving from, or were picking up the same information. What?
Yeah.
Why Hawaii? And just also with Lemuria, was that another word for Atlantis?
Oh, not at all. No, 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 no. No, Lemuria, we didn't call it Lemuria, we called it Mu, M-U. We were the people of Mu, and it was the continent of Mu, and it's underneath the Pacific. So Hawaii was the motherland of Mu, and all of the Pacific Islands were part of, and those cultures that are very musical and, very loving, like in Hawaii, everybody lives by aloha, which is love. Atlantis was under the Atlantic Ocean, completely different civilization that was very advanced technologically, way more than we are. They had flying machines that were powered by crystals and sound and our own electromagnetic field. But they went the same way that we have done into the abuse of power. They were originally working under the law of one towards with the one, and then they got taken over by some power people, and it all destroyed. So in the end, they destroyed Lemuria and they destroyed themselves.
Wow. Okay.
So Mu was very much heart-centered. Atlantis was more third eye, using those psychic powers to control people.
I had someone on about Mu just not too long ago, actually, and so you using those words, I'm like, I know that story. I've heard of this place before. Wow. Okay, I had no idea that's what Lemuria was. Yeah.
No, well, I didn't either. I knew I was a Lemurian, but I had no idea what that meant or what it was. Till I went to Hawaii, started doing my hypnotherapy, and all the people there were my family from Lemuria. So I realized I had all this information that I didn't know and nobody else knew. So I was guided to write it into a book.
Right. Well, yeah, that's great. You did, and you said I may have misunderstood you. Did you say there's another book coming out soon as well that you've got?
Yes, about Mother Mary and Jesus and what they were really saying and why they were here and what their message is now. And that thing from past life regression.
I'll have to get you back on for that, most definitely. I'll have to get you back. Well, when is that released?
I don't know.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
One baby. So, and I'm going to publish that one myself. Dolores is not going to publish it because it's too similar to some of her books on the Essenes. So I'm going to self-publish that.
Okay, well, we'll get you back on for that, most definitely. Maybe that's when I meet you, maybe in California or Florida, because we've got some.
I'll be in LA.
Oh, LA. That's in September. That's where I'll meet you then for that, most definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, this is a very, very, very interesting. I knew it would be a very fascinating interview, most definitely. Okay, what about then in your work? If we just look at your work from the point of view from law of attraction, that we are we able to have the life that we really want to have, that we really not to have, but that we'd like to experience, but without using the word want, like we want something, because that just brings the wanting of it. Are we able to bring into our life that which we wish to experience, that which we wish to have? And also, if we are, how do we go about doing that? What are some of the principles for doing that?
Well, we absolutely can have anything that we can think of. It's all done by intention, but we have these two different programs going on that are sabotaging each other. So part of us knows I am a divine creator being I can create anything that I choose to focus on. And then there's this other part that has all these old programs that go, I'm not good enough, life is cruel, unfair, I'm always going to fail. So on the one hand, you're sending out your order to the cosmic kitchen saying, I'd like all of this, please. And then on the other hand, you're going, but I don't deserve it. So the universe doesn't know what to do. So the very important part of my hypnotherapy sessions is looking at those programs, which some of them are from childhood and some of them are from past life, that are stopping us from receiving everything that Father, Mother, God really wants us to have. We've already done the work. So we've got all this treasure in our bank accounts, but we've thrown away our ATM card because we don't think we're worthy. So I really encourage people to do some kind of inner work, because the problem is that these programs that are self-negating are buried in the unconscious. And that's why I chose to use hypnotherapy as my tool. I could have done this in many different ways. But with hypnosis, it's very easy to go into those unconscious shadow areas and bring them out, bring them into the light, and just love them back into the wholeness.
Yeah.
So we wounded child and we bring her back into the whole.
That's exactly what I channeled just the other day. Was that the negative tapes destroy whatever you're putting out there sometimes. So we have to, realize that, we are lovable, we are great enough, that we can have everything that we wish to desire to experience. I don't know how it said it. It was around those words. I'm not explaining it very well. But yeah, just as you've just said it there in a sense, which is fascinating, really, that you're saying the same thing. But it's not. I mean, truth is truth, isn't it?
It's not enough just to think it.
No.
You've got to go into the part of you. So what I do is, like all the wounded aspects of us, my work is to go and find them and bring them home into the wholeness of who we really are.
Okay, well, thank you for that. Well, actually, talking about the wounded aspect part of ourselves, one part of your work that I really love as well is that you do talk about, if we have anything on this side that we need to work on, that, whatever it may be, if there's something that we've, fell out with family members, or we haven't sorted whatever out, or whatever, we haven't forgiven someone, it's rather than crossing over with it, it is better to sort it out on this side. But I will add there to you as well, if someone that you want to sort it out with is not prepared to sort it out with you, then you can't sort it out, can you, in one sense?
Well, yes, you can, really. Yes, you can, absolutely. You can sort it out from your side. So, in Hawaii, they do the ho'oponopono, and they say, I'm sorry for anything that I've done to you that has hurt you in thought, word, or deed. I love you, forgive me, thank you. You release it from your side, and it doesn't matter whether they release it or not. You have broken the karmic link. So you just forgive them unconditionally for everything. And then there's no tie. And then they are free and you are free.
Okay, well, that's important to note, that if we just did it from that perspective, even though we couldn't have this one-to-one like we're having, and you couldn't speak to the other person because they don't want to speak, no matter what it is that's happened, right, you can release it as you've just demonstrated there, just in that, because I do think it's important, because we're going to sort it out when we cross over, aren't we? So why don't we just try to...
Well, the thing is that what I tell people, and what happened in my own family is, especially my mother, just never got why this change in my life. Why did I throw away my education? And she's so critical of me as I was exploring my new life, that she saw as throwing away the benefits that she had worked so hard to give me. And I didn't bother, because I knew when she crossed over, she would totally get it. So I was getting a psychic reading, and the woman said, your mother's here. And I said, oh, she's probably come to say sorry. And she said, yes, she has. Because now she totally sees that.
God, that gives me goosebumps.
Yeah. So I know that people are probably not going to get who I am in this life, unless they've got the radar, they've got the receptors to hear the language that I use. Like Jesus said, let the dead bury the dead, let those who have eyes see. So I don't worry if people don't get who I am, because I know when they go over the other side, everyone that has done me harm, and there's a lot of them in my relationship, I know that they will all be filled with remorse and that they will have to atone in some way. And so I just let go of it all. I don't need to be instrument of karmic retribution. That will happen.
No, not at all. And just very briefly as well, right now, one of your other jobs as well is you work as a hospice worker. I think, are you still doing that type of work?
At the moment, no, I'm busy looking after my little grandbaby.
Right.
But I have babies who are coming in, these new souls, these crystal children, and then sometimes I work with transitioning souls going out.
That's so amazing that you're working in. Well, it's not actually. It's kind of makes complete sense that you did work in a hospice, because. Sorry.
I love it.
Yes.
I just, the privilege. It's a privilege to be at a birth, and it's a privilege to be with someone who is dying. Not necessarily out of death, but just those last months.
Yeah.
So, you see, this is why I say to people, clean up your bad relationships. Because I've sat with so many people who know they've only got a week or 2 weeks. And what do they regret? Is not living their dream when they were young enough and fit enough to do it. And the 20 years they haven't spoken to their son because he did this 20 years ago. And they really regret that. So don't wait till you're on your deathbed. Clean up your messes now and just say, I'm sorry. You don't have to get into you did this, you did that. It really doesn't matter. You just say, I'm sorry for anything that I've done. Please forgive me.
And do you know, I always think to myself, well, I realise now to myself, I'm 38, I realise, I mean, I'm not old, but none of us are old, are we? But, you know, we're infinitive in a sense. But I say to myself now, even at 30, I say, I'm not guaranteed tomorrow, don't know if it's going to be there or not. I think it is from what I feel, but I don't know. But I still don't come from enough space of, I should live my last day as this was going to be my last day. Yeah, that's not being reckless and, you know, going out robbing the bank, getting the money, or doing something crazy like from Groundhog Day. I'm talking about still coming from love, living your last day, right? But what would that feel like if you lived this day as though it was your last?
It's looking at your heart and where your passion is. What makes my heart sing? If your heart is not singing because of the job that you're doing, go find another one. The place that you're living, if it's sitting on your soul and it's heavy, move. Because if your heart is not singing, there's no point being here.
And some people will say to that, some people's response could be to that, could be, well, I suffer from depression, so I can't break out of that cycle, and, you know, blah-de-blah-de-blah. As in, when I say blah-de-blah-de-blah, I'm almost saying, I don't want to, they're almost saying I don't want to take self-responsibility for myself, even though I've suffered from depression and I came out of it on the other side with getting into spirituality in a sense, right? Even though sometimes it still hits me, you know, even doing this, yeah, and knowing this truth. But, you know, what is the answer in what I'm saying? I guess, come on, Kev, I guess
it's finding one little thing every day that just makes you smile.
Yes.
Makes your heart go, you know, there's always something, even if you're depressed, go and sit in the park, go and watch the ducks, or watch a flower opening, or go and talk to a baby or an old person, and you will just be brought back.
Oh, that's true. When I see my niece all the time, it does bring it. It's sort of any bad day I'm having, everything's perfect then.
Go and be with animals, be with elderly people, and be with children.
Elderly people, yeah.
Just lift you up.
I have a deep love for elderly people. I do. Every time I see an old person's retirement place, I'm like, I just want to go over there and just go speak to them all.
And that's what they need, because their world suddenly got very closed, and they need the world to come in. And you know what I think the saddest thing about the Western culture is loneliness. That we've got all the stuff, we've got all the gadgets, we've got the nice house, nice cars, and all that. But we're really very lonely, and a lot of people feel isolated. And that is what makes the light come into your life is interaction. We're not meant to be isolated individuals. We're meant to be connecting, whether it's with people or with nature or with animals. It doesn't matter. But we need connection every day.
Yeah.
So find, go out there and sit outside, talk to a tree.
And is that what you do?
All the time. I'm sitting here now. Can I show you on my... If I turn this around, is it going to mess up? I live on this lake, and I'm looking out on the lake, and the geese have been coming, and the egrets and the cormorants have been coming. I go to the beach. If I'm in LA, I go to the park, or I go to the beach. There are such beautiful places everywhere. I go and watch the sunset wherever I am. I go find a place I can see the sunset.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful.
Go and look for it. Get up to switch the TV off and go and look for it.
It's not always about the big homes, the big cars, and all the money we've got, and the accumulation of all the little gadgets and stuff we've got. It's not about any of that, is it? None of that really makes us happy, does it?
And that's what was the real gift from my near-death experience, was that I knew that when we cross over, we're not thinking about our retirement plan. The only thing that you take with you is the love that you have shared. And the only thing you leave behind is your name written in the hearts of people and animals and places that you have loved. So everything else is the trap. It's the illusion that our goal becomes having a bigger this and a better that and more status. And when you come to the end of your life, it's utterly meaningless.
And another thing as well, let's just go back to law of attraction, is that, if you want to go out and get something, if you're wanting something in your life, right, you can't go for that wanting of it because you think it will make you happier. Where's being happy in the present moment now? Where's your happiness in the present moment now?
We mustn't postpone our joy. And the thing is that when it comes down to it, and what I have found with all of my students, the thing they have really strongly is the desire to serve. You would be astonished at the number of people that say to me, I know I'm here to do something. I want to know what my soul purpose is. And these are ordinary people. They're not, people you would think as specifically New Age or conscious or spiritual. Just, in the bank or in the supermarket, I start talking to people. And they say, I want to know what I'm here for, and I want to be doing it.
And what do you say to them to get to their soul purpose? Do you say that we've got, when you do a session with them, they're able to find the answer themselves in the end?
When we do the session, that's why I say come have a session with me, because that's exactly what we do in one session, is find out who you are, why you are here, what's in your way, and how do I start? What's this thing?
And going back to something you said as well, and personifying your words, you kind of did say really that whatever you're going to do now, the way that you know that you're in alignment with what you should be doing is by how happy does it make you feel that what you're doing now. That's the key to alignment and purpose. No matter if it's not the purpose you're doing in 5 years' time, that doesn't matter. But we're talking about right now. What right now is it that will really makes you happy doing?
That's right. And it all, in the end, everything is leading you there. Especially dramatic things that literally stop your world, like a relationship ending or loss of somebody that you love, or you get fired. It's meant to make you stop and re-examine. Am I just passing time here, or am I just really doing what makes my heart sing? So many people come to me and they're just in boring jobs and they hate it and they feel crushed, and especially when they take my classes. Pretty much everybody in my classes, by the end of the session, they're in a different job or they're in a different relationship.
Yes.
we align with the truth of who we really are, then we attract a whole different vibrational frequency, and our lives change on the outer. You change the inner, and then your world changes.
That's true. That's true. I think, you know, if I just go back to myself, if this is any good for anyone else, I don't want to talk about myself too much because we're at the end of this interview here, really. But something I just want to add to you is that, you know, I always enjoy this space sharing with yourself and myself. I enjoy this so much, but it doesn't generate any money. And I've got really pissed off recently that I've been doing this for so long, and there's just nothing in there. And other people that I personally know, who have done their passion, have been very financially well off from it. And it's like, I only wanted that financial wellness to be abundant, just be able to, you know, go and do the things I may want to do, you know. But it's never been like that. So I've been fighting my life for a little while, actually, of like, what the hell am I doing? And growing out of love of even doing what I'm doing right now, because there's been no money there. I'm like, well, I don't want to live like this. I don't want this reality. I choose not to have it anymore. But I'm still a little bit lost with where it's all going.
You can think of it like your radio show. It's like your marketing. It's what you would pay to advertise. So you need to have a different product that people actually pay for, which might be your channeling.
Well, it might. Well, yes. Well, that's why I've kind of launched my own psychic service. I want it to be of high quality. I want it to be the best type of readers on there, like yourselves, and I want it to be spiritually aligned people. And I suppose I'm launching that to give me the abundance I was looking for. It just, you know, that sometimes in life you just like, why is it so bloody difficult? And then you have these interviews, and I'll lead this interview and I'll be like, yeah, that's what you've got to be doing, Kev. You've got to be living your purpose. And I'm like, well, actually, is this my purpose? How happy, even as the person talking about all this work, how happy am I doing this right now when you know what shows up is nothing much?
Well, you know, when I was told I was to leave Santa Fe and go to Hawaii, I had a very, very clear conversation with upstairs. And I said, if you want me in Hawaii, you're going to have to give me the money. And I want $5,000. I'm not going to Hawaii to struggle. I'm not going to do poor. If you want me there, give me the money. Within 3 months, I had made $7,000 just by people putting on workshops for me and getting sessions with people, which I've never done before. So part of it's being real clear, making a bargain.
Well, let me tell you something about a bargain. I want to get to the States by September, and I've said to myself now, right, okay, well, with this service, this elite psychic service that I want to offer, I'm going to put myself down as a reader. Now, I've fought myself to the bank to be a channeled reader because, you know, that egoistic side of me is like, no, Kevin, you must be box shifting or you must be doing some other business. You don't do readings. We don't do that. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, hang on, ego. I think this is where I'm being drawn to, because it seems like by giving the readings, it will give me the abundance to get to the States.
In our field, readings is the biggest earner. It's what most people want, even people who are not into the real deep soul stuff. They all want readings. So that's a very financially beneficial.
Well, I think it has to be readings from you know, people that are the good stuff, because we were having this conversation of air that you can get people that have a psychic abilities but are not spiritual, or people that have had a spiritual awakening that want to help others like yourself awaken, that are have intuitive abilities of all sorts. And I think whenever anyone's gone through a psychic ability, a near death, or any spiritual growth, they naturally become intuitive. It's just, you know, you naturally connect to that part of you that you already are. So yeah. So yeah, maybe my whole thing for abundance right now was looking at me at the face that actually, you know what, Kev, it's just you've got to offer your readings and everything will be fine. Everything will come from that. I feel so much
Absolutely.
better now. I feel like I've had a counselling session.
And also, you are being given other people the platform, like me, have doing readings on your thing. So you should take a percentage or have a fee for that, because that's a service that you're doing.
Yes, 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 and I think yes, thank you for that. And I never used to look at it that way. But you know what? Sometimes life forces you to look at things differently.
Well, so this is something that a lot of us struggle with, because historically we didn't have to deal with the mundane. We lived and worked in the temples. We were given everything we needed. We had servants and we had guards. And a lot of people I work with find it very hard to charge. And I've been through this myself, undercharging and then finding I can't pay my bills. So I have to go and take a job that I don't want to do. So, I'm not going to do that.
Good, good. Well, you know what? This has been one of my most interesting interviews just recently for myself. I'm sure it will be for other people. You have been absolutely wonderful, and you've put up with me, right? And you've given us some beautiful advice as well. I really want to just say that this is one of the ones that I will watch back, and you've kept it very grounded as well, which is nice.
That's the whole journey. We go up, but then we got to bring it down. We're not meant to be just floating around up there having fun in the bliss. We're meant to be ambassadors now for the new way, which is unconditional love, which is harmony and peace. And it's not going to happen out there, so it happens in here.
Well, Charmian Redwood, I just want to say thank you so, so much for joining us today.
You're very welcome, and I thank you for this opportunity. This is, creating your platform. That's what you're doing with doing these shows, and you have to have a platform. People have to know that you are there. So the more you put out your shows, you're going to catch people because they follow this person or that person. And then, but start doing your readings, because that's where your money's going.
Blessings to you.
You too, many blessings and much gratitude to you. Thank you.